As I thought about my topic earlier this morning, illusion and truth, and the seen and the unseen, I realized that that's really a huge topic, and I got very scared, frightened, and I have been under the illusion in my life that for many years I'm pretty much fearless, and kind of fractured that illusion this morning. But I chose that topic because all of those things, illusion, truth, the seen and the unseen, are integral parts of our life. And I think it does us well to consider ideas and thoughts relative to those four things. And I have no resolution, no real definition, just some thoughts that might be something to think about. I'm going to start, I wrote down a question. I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to read it because it's a lot of words. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see the real you, or what you have been conditioned to believe is you? And the two are very different. One is infinite consciousness, capable of being and creating whatever it chooses. And the other is an illusion, imprisoned by its own perceived and programmed limitation. That question would lead one to assume that illusions are negative or bad things. And I think not. I think we as human beings, we all have brains and the human mind in which we create illusions, and we do that for the purpose of maybe making life a little more bearable. The quote, the last quote on your page by Voltaire, everything is fine today. That's our illusion. That could be a positive thought. Could be an illusion. When I wrote down truth, I was thinking about divine truth. And I don't know of anybody that could actually describe it or give a definition. But when I think of divine truth, I'm reminded of what Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about when he said, I think everybody should invest some time into just going out at night and looking at the universe. And I think in doing that, the more time you consider that universe, these billions of galaxies, you begin to understand maybe a little bit of how everything is created to be in a harmony. Everything. Marjorie sent me a video here a week ago. It's amazing. And the video starts by looking at a young lady lying on the beach. And then the camera goes 100 feet, 1,000 feet, a mile, 5 miles, 10 miles, 100 miles, a million miles, 1 light year, 1,000 light years, a million light years. And as the camera's going back, you begin to see all these galaxies, and all the Earth ceases to even become a speck. And then the camera comes back and goes back through all of this space And back to the young lady, and it focuses on her eyeball, and then it goes inside, the other direction. Beyond microscopic, beyond the DNA, which you can see, and then on beyond that, and then back. And that is the divine truth, the divine wisdom of this creation. It's no different for a planet 17,000 light years from here than it is inside your eyeball. It's the same bit of harmony. And Marjorie, if you would, could you forward that to Heather so she could put it on our Facebook page?
Yeah, I will.
I think it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And to put things in that type of perspective. And that's the truth. We often think of the truth as not lying. Like my stories are almost always almost true. Sometimes we create illusions for ourselves and others with the very highest intention because they bring about joy or happiness or flattery. An illusion is a very part of our life. But sometimes we live under illusions that go against this harmony, the harmony of divine truth. You know, we look around this old world and we see illusion that has become delusional. You don't have to look very far. And we have people constantly trying to solve these issues and problems. And I think maybe we could talk to the people that the problems are affecting to maybe get a little more information about solving some of these problems. Some people have the same solution to everything. I watched, I don't know, a year or so ago, I watched that movie Mandela, and I think it's probably a pretty accurate account of his life. And something really stuck with me, a part of that movie. It's the time where he was negotiating his terms of release with the Prime Minister of South Africa. And along with the terms of his release were also terms of legitimizing his political party. And for it to be a legal political party, have legal representation that could actually hold office and to get his people, the citizens of Africa, to actually be allowed to vote. And the Prime Minister's response to that request was, oh no, we can't do that because your people would want revenge. And I'm going to paraphrase what he said, but this is what I heard. We all hear what we think we hear. He said, you know, our people, my people, people of Africa, we have lived as the recipients of the violence and the hatred and the slavery. He said, when we see the future, we don't see revenge. We don't see more of the same, the violence, the inequity. We see peace. We see equality. We see having representative government. We know what violence is. We know what hatred is. We don't want a future with that in it. And as we look to deal with the problems that we have in our own lives, these illusions that we create for our own lives, what's the effect of that? Is your life all hunky-dory, rinky-dinky, pinky-doo? Is it wonderful? If it's not, well then, why? Is it because of some illusion or some perception that you have about yourself or about events that causes that adverse, that miserable reaction inside of you? Maybe the truth, that divine truth of harmony, even within your own body, maybe some of your illusions and perceptions are blocking that or tainting that. Something to think about, perhaps, because I don't have any answers. But I know when I look in the mirror, I see things about my life that sometimes make me feel pretty crummy. It's like my anger. I've decided that I'm going to try a new type of perception about my anger. I'm going to dump it every once in a while, somewhere where it doesn't have adverse effect on anyone. I go out and talk to my sheep every morning when I feed them. They catch hell. They don't seem to mind. You know, we all have these things about our lives that we feel less than wonderful about. Is it life? Or is it some of the illusions and perceptions we've developed over time? You know, I've been in love with two ladies in my life. I've never actually met either one of them, but I've been in love with them ever since I've been old enough to be in love with a lady. One is Jane Fonda and the other one's Gloria Steinem. And Gloria Steinem said one time, "The truth will set you free, but first it's going to piss you off." Because it's going to cause you to stop and think about those perceptions you have, those opinions that you have had that you knew were right. But they just haven't seemed to work out to bring about the joy and the peace and the satisfaction that every one of us wants in our lives. Vivian told me one time, several times, she tells me quite often, she said, "Patrick, you're just adorable." I have a mirror. I know the truth. But I love that illusion. And until it brings someone else grief, or disturbs or bothers someone else or me, I'm going to keep that illusion. It makes my life feel better. Makes me feel better about myself. There's some very wonderful illusions that we can create for ourselves. Everything is fine today. We sit here warm on these padded pews, knowing full well, and it's not an illusion, that everyone in this room cares about every other person in this room deeply. And that's truth. And any illusions we might add that reinforce that or build on that. But when the illusions come about to bring grief to ourselves or someone else, maybe we ought to investigate. Because that isn't the divine truth. The divine truth is all about harmony, gazillions and gazillions, beyond the infinity of what numbers can even. All of these parts all work together in the entire universe. Beyond what any of us could possibly conceive as infinity, they're all working together in a profound harmony inside our own bodies. We're part of that truth. One of the quotes says that the truth lies within. It does. We're chock full of truth. Chock full of harmony and love, empathy. I'm going to read that question again. When you look into the mirror, what do you see? Do you see the real you? Or have you been conditioned to believe it's a person different than that? The two are different. One is infinite consciousness, capable of being and creating whatever it chooses. The other is an illusion, imprisoned by its own perceived or programmed limitations. I want to change an answer to that question. When you look in the mirror, I hope you see a little bit of both. See both. They're both illusion and perception and divine truth and what you really are. It's all part of you. In a little while, we're going to sing Let There Be Peace on Earth. I was reading something the other day from Deepak Chopra. And Deepak says, we all want to make peace on earth, let it begin with me. Well, for that to happen, each one of us has to become a peacemaker. Make the peace within yourself. Examine your perceptions, your illusions, your lifestyles, your choices. The ones that bring about the harmony and the peace within you, those are probably your best choices. You can maybe think about letting go of some of the other ones. When you have friends that are experiencing discord or having anger issues, you don't have to solve their problems. But maybe you might tactfully let them know that they have options. They can do things that will be in harmony rather than discourse. They can try a little of acceptance instead of hatred and fear and judgment. Each of us has the capacity, the ability, and the wherewithal to be a peacemaker. It's part of our original equipment. It's part of our ability to align with the harmony in which we were created. Let there be peace on this earth. But more importantly, let there be peace in you. Look at your own truth. Find your own truth. Feel your truth. Take a look at your perceptions, your opinions, and these illusions that every one of us creates for ourselves. Some of them work pretty well. I am adorable. I believe that.
Yes, you are.
Some of them not so much. Let's stand now and think about, decide to be the peacemakers of our community.